So we're now going to move on to creator management, creator onboarding. So you guys, we're coming from a chatting agency perspective, so we'll look a little bit different to you. And naturally, you can have marketing and a bunch of other tabs here if you're using Airtable already. So what we've got here and what we're going to talk about now is how does the creator onboarding impact the rest of the setup and automations, and also what do we do just from an onboarding perspective to make sure that we're setting up our chatters to have the best possible output. And something that we found to be very significant correlation to the chatter performance is how much they know about the creator, and also how easy is it to get the information that they need. So we use Airtable here as our source of truth. And when we want to take on a new creator, as with recruitment, we send them a form. Now, this is the point at which we're going to start. Before that, in terms of recruiting creators, we're not covering that here. In terms of emails and contracts with the creators, we're not covering that here. This is just chatting and the chatting aspects of bringing on board a new creator. So we'll send this form to a new creator. Potential risk. Create a stage name, first name, last name, URL for all of their shit, and then they speak English. Niche, so they complete here. If there's just solo play, what are they willing to show? So we have it all here, so we know exactly what they're willing to show, and then we add this to the creator dashboard so that the chatters know exactly what they do and don't do. Do they want to do custom video content, video calls, must be able to speak English, or both? It's very important because if you do your chatting right, anywhere up to 50% of your message and tip income could come from tips, which is custom content, custom video, or video calls. So if you say custom content, we then have a form that pops up here. It's a variable form that says what are the days and hours that you're available for customs or video calls. If you say neither, it will disappear. So this is obviously super important. It should appear for both of those exactly. So days and hours available, Google Drive link for content drop. So if they give us a Google Drive link, we use it. If they don't, and they say we don't have one, then we create one ourselves, which we'll go into. Then we need an email to where the customs are going to be sent. And there's a whole module on custom content and the automation of it, so you don't have to do anything. We'll get to that, but it's very important that we will have an email that we know is the end location for where customs will be sent so that the creators can pick it up. And then if they have a Cash App handle, because anywhere from 10 to 20% of income could come from Cash App, depending on how you're dealing with the strategy. So that's the form, and that is completed in the grid view here. So just for reference, I'm going to try and share as much information I can on how we manage Airtable effectively, but grid view is always unfiltered and has no hidden fields, and it shows us everything. Now, just so you know, you guys should do a course on this online, but you can just move stuff around. So yeah, Airtable is super easy to use and very flexible, and you can have different fields here. I don't know, maybe you guys can let me know in the group if you think that we should do just an intro on Airtable. So once they drop their information in here, we have statuses, live, on hold, or dead. If you're scaling and you're taking on a creator a day or a creator a week or a month, even a creator a month is 12 a year. That's a huge scale. You want to just be able to have a source of truth for all of your data. So that's why we use forms so much. It's so important to us. Contract start date, also very important here. Something I haven't included in the automations, which we have in our Airtable, we have we have email automations where if the chatter or the creator has been with us for more than a month, 2 months, or 6 months, we actually have automations to send an email to the team, and it says, hey, by the way, this guy or this girl has been here for a month, been here for 6 months. Congratulate them, send them something, make them feel part of the team and part of the company. So we use those automations just to remind us, because if you've got a team of, even if you've got 20 chatters, you won't remember who's finishing probation the 4 weeks or who is who's been there the longest. And so this is super important. And also pay dates, that impacts pay dates. Creator's first name, last name, then the agency fee. So this is your fee. This is really important because this will impact dashboards, interfaces, and the numbers later on so we can see every day how much money you have made as an agency, which is the end goal of this whole guide and mastermind, is to be able to put systems in place for other people to operate, and then for you to basically always check the output of what's going on and to manage it. Ideally, and I have this privilege, and it's a privilege that you guys will get as well, and some of you probably already have it, is that you don't ever want to I don't want to look at any of this. All I want to do is look at an output and tell how much money I've made from this creator, all of our creators. How much money today is ours. That's what I want to look at. Then we've got a OF URL, email, password, this sort of basic stuff we found in the early days. We're like, we forgot what the password was. If you just ask them to put it in here and always update it, you have a source of truth. Creators links, social links, and then this is what they completed. So this was the niche stuff and what they're willing to show. This was in the form. And then again here, creators willing to show if they're willing to do custom content when they're available. And then this is a lookup for the sales, which you don't need to care about right now. This email is used by the automations, and so is this Google Drive link. This is the final two columns. So let me put that over there, Cash App here, because these are all automated, related to other forms. So these two are super important, because what we have is an automation that says in the custom content, that says, look up this, if they do custom video, if this says custom video here, or both, look up this email address, and with this link, tell them to complete a custom. And we'll go into that again. So these need to be completed and they need to be accurate. So if they don't provide a Google Drive link, you need to go and create one. And so you then need to add that Google Drive link in here, because that's going to be sent as automations. Because on the custom content side of things, you want your chatters to take your custom content on OnlyFans or Inflow or whatever you're using, can submit a form. Form goes to creator. Creator's informed of what needs to be done. It needs to be no WhatsApp, Telegram, no telephone calls to try and explain what's going on. The email is pre-written. Again, we'll go into that. Super easy to do. So that's our onboarding form. This is our sort of source of truth here. Then we've got obviously a contract. We share with you a template contract, but you guys probably already got that. We've got a Google Drive structure that we complete. So our Google Drive structure is this. So we normally do, ask them to include previous content. So we've got just a vault, almost a vault-like folder of all the previous content, so we can utilize it if it's not being utilized. Custom content, teasers, sets, mass DMs, boy, girl, 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 BJ, and you can have whatever you want. Feet, extras, and you can have whatever you want. So the reason why we have this, I'm showing you this, is because we then will also create the same structure in Google Drive as on the Vault. So if there's a custom content, we have custom content folders on the Vault. We have teasers. So say teaser 1, lingerie, teaser 2, gym, and then sets. We'll also have it set up like this and in this order to make it really easy. Then to create sort of subfolders, obviously we don't have that luxury on OnlyFans. So the way we set up subfolders in the Vault is by having all of the content for set 2 in a folder, and it's lingerie in bed. And then this first piece of content has its own folder, S2 plus 1, S2 plus 2 for the second piece, third piece, all the way up to the 8th piece. And so this is how we sort of manage individual sets. And so the chatters can go in and decide which one, if it's an arse man or a boobs man, one of these 12 will be arse and one of the 12 will be boobs. And so they can then pick, but they know that this is the beginning part of the set. Makes it super easy for a chatter, especially a new chatter. An experienced chatter after a month will know these sets off by heart, will jump into S2 full and pick what they want. But if you're starting out, make it as easy as possible for these chatters. You're scaling, things are going to be breaking, things are moving really fast. You spend this investment and you get one of your VAs or admin type person to organize your Vault like this. It'll be super fucking easy. And you'll have S72 full, right? You'll have sets going on for days. After a couple of months, you should have like 30, 40 sets per creator. So that's our Google Drive structure. Okay, I've slipped into the next part, but anyhow, what we then do is we audit the account. And so the audit of the account makes sure that we're familiar with it, make sure that we're flagging things that need to be fixed, making sure that we have a minimum content requirements, which we'll talk about in a moment. And then we have the tiering. So we go in and, if we're taking on somebody, a creator who's really just starting out, then you don't have to fuck around with tiering. But if you've got a creator who's got a couple of thousand fans, then when you go in and you tier. And so the tiering is essentially putting your subs into lists. Now you may use lists in your own way and be flexible with it. They're super, super useful once you can leverage them properly. And so with your tiering, tier one is everybody needs to be tiered as tier one as soon as they come in as a sub. Tier two is anybody that has spoken to your chatters and has spent up to $100. So tier one is basically no response. The reason why we care about tier one is when you're sending out mass PPVs, you spam out to tier one and maybe tier two, depending on the type of content. But you don't want to spam out a mass PPV to tier 3, 4, and 5 because you're going to be, your chatters should be heavily engaged with those guys and should be building relationships, which you'll kill if you're going to be in a position where you're just spamming mass PPVs, even if you're unsending them, right? So tier one, you can ruin. That's a suicide list, basically. If you get anything from them, great. I mean, 90% of subs don't even communicate. So that's those guys. And then you want to be much more specific about how you're dealing with tier fives, who are your whales. You don't want to be sending anything except for lifestyle stuff to those guys and very specific niche stuff that they request, or is their type, if you like, or preferences. Tier 3 and 4, you can probably price a PPV if you are going to send it at a higher price because you know they're going to pay. So use these tiers to your advantage. And if you've got 1,000 subs, you should have 1,000 people in these 5 tier lists. Admin VAs should be on top of this. It takes like half a day. Then the vault structure we spoke about. And then what we do is we categorize. And so categorization, this is just a few examples, but we'll include a full cheat sheet with all of our categorization rules. But we put a whale next to the name that has a whale, a smiley face for solid spender, hourglass for time waster, feet for foot fetish, a ring if someone's married. We can get creative with it. The point is that when a chatter hits the account and they've had an hour, 2 hour break from the last chatter, and there's 20 or 30 or 40 unread messages, if we can identify the ones who have been categorized, we know already ahead of time who we should speak to and who not to speak to, more importantly. Because if you got 10 unread messages and 5 got to the hourglass, you know who you should speak to, and you're going to have a higher return on investment when you do that. And so it's just about being organized, basically. And you nail this into your chatters and they will do it well. Then the process of onboarding, and next step is content calendar and KPIs. So it's kind of actually part of this. So this is all information in Notion pages that we're going to share with you. So beyond this, there isn't much more in Airtable to discuss. But what there is to discuss and we will provide is how we manage our content KPIs. So every creator has this. And we have content KPIs for 30, 60, 90 days. We set it up in this format so that you have a to-do list. The creator has a to-do list. They can show what's in progress and what's complete. And so, for example, we will create this and it's not started because it's in the to-do list. We want 8 pieces of content. It's part of sets, the bedroom or living room location, lingerie with a robe to start, time of day, night, so that you can use the content pretty much anytime. And we want them to use a toy and then save to this folder. And that folder is a Google Drive folder, which is already, it's one of these. So what was this? A set. So this is a set. So in this folder, we'll have set 3 lingerie in bed, and we'll get the link to that and put it here. So when the creator is working through these tasks, there's just no intervention, no manual intervention. You get a notification that someone's uploaded something. Your VA every day does a check in the morning, what content's been uploaded, right? That content needs to be uploaded to the vault, notify the team on Slack or Telegram or WhatsApp or whatever you're using. That should be the feedback loop. There should be no missing out on content. There should be no days of delay of sending content or having it on the vault. It should be done every morning by a VA. And so this is a really easy way for them to be able to sort of gamify the KPIs by dragging things across. And then you can set up notifications and stuff like that to see who's done what. And then you've got lifestyle shots, and you can ask for different things, be very specific, hide the properties that aren't being used. We need 20 pieces of lifestyle shots, for example, right? So really, really nice, easy way to ask for content. And we normally do 2 sets per week and then 1 teaser per week, and then specific things that we might need. Some SOPs here. This is specific to one of our strategies, so don't have to use that if you use a different type of strategy. Here's a useful one. If you're playing music, make sure it's a different song each time. Because if you're doing an 8-minute set or 10-minute set for 8 different pieces, and the same song's playing throughout, but the sexing session is over an hour, it looks a bit bait. We've got the set creation guide as well and set inspo guides. There's like 80 different sets that you can use to help you populate this. But we'll talk about that in another video, and these will be shared separately as separate documents rather than on here. Set creation guide is something that you share with your creator, right? The creator will see this so that they know exactly how to create a set. We have examples on there, and we show, every single step of the way, what needs to be done, why it's done this way, what you need to say and do, how to be more enticing and natural, so that they are creating the highest possible quality content. And again, you send them this, you explain that, read these links, do. Super easy, hands off, shouldn't have any issues. Then after that, so that's the content calendar and KPIs. Then we got a creator dashboard. So this is probably one of the most important aspects. So we've got this, we create this for every creator. We normally put a picture of the creator up here so it's easy to identify who they are. And obviously change this to the creator's name. And it's not too much, but we'll run through it. So all the chatters have access to this as guests. So you can share it here as a guest, and then you don't have to pay for the link if you've got Notion. We put a creator calendar up. And so the idea is that if it's May the 17th or May the 18th, and they're just about to start their shift, they go on here and say, right, it's Hank's birthday, right? So they know, who do I need to hit first? Right, I'm going to start my shift. I need an easy win. What's a low-hanging fruit? So I know on the 20th, try sex with Tiago, right? Because he's now got money or something like that. That's fine. We also share when we've uploaded content. So John gets paid, right? May the 9th, who are you hitting first? You're hitting John. So whenever the chatters get information about pay dates or birthdays or holidays, we put it in here, and then chatters can then all communicate via a visual calendar. It's super easy. Once they get into the habit of it, very powerful tool. And that chatters are taking it seriously because you can see who's adding shit here. So very important. We then have a bio here, super basic stuff. What we do as well is these are the preferences from Airtable, right? So those preferences came from here, girl next door, creator, what they're willing to show. We put it here. And what we normally do as well is we do a video. And so we'll send you this. So we have creator interview questions. We send them this. This goes out as another automation. I can talk people through if they want it. I can talk people through how to add this to Airtable. And we ask them to do a 5-10 minute video and just run through all of these questions. The chatters then can watch that, get an idea for the personality, and get the answers. But there's more about understanding the type of girl that you're chatting for, because you all want to come across with the same tone of voice. If you don't have the video, all the chatters think that they're coming across in the right way, but nobody fucking knows. So if you have a 5-minute video that every chatter can watch and get used to the creator, very powerful tool. So we put that in there. Then we break down each set. So we have the sets here of what's in them. So super quick view, so they know what's going on. Where do subscribers come from? Links. So good chatter will click on the Instagram and TikTok, right? Before their schedule, their shift, they'll look on TikTok and Instagram. Is she on holiday? What are the latest TikToks? What could subs be talking about if they're obsessed with her? What has she been doing? That's the hallmark of a good chatter. Then we've got custom content. So we'll go through this in separate form, but if we have a custom content to complete, they basically click this form and they know when they're going to be available. They know what the price should be. And then they have a form to complete, which, like I said, I'll go into. When they complete that form, email gets sent to the creator. They don't have to do anything else. The chatter's job is done. And what the chatter does is then leaves, according to our categorization rules, we'll leave an emoji next to the sub's name so that we know that they're waiting for a custom content. So that's our dashboard here. Run through it probably maybe a bit too quickly, but really powerful tool to make sure everybody's aligned. Then we've got, what's next? Or maybe I've gone through them all. Contract, table and automations. Oh, that's module 1. Niche will show links, custom form sets. Yeah, so that is it basically. So yeah, the sets will send in a separate links so that you can see the 80 top sets that we use to provide with some sort of an idea of or inspiration for what's what. And that is it for creator management. I think the only other things here. So we've got this sort of stuff on Airtable here. What you need to do is make sure, and we'll talk about them when we do sales and custom content, is that you need to group your different creators according to who's working on them. So if one chat is working on two creators, you need to create a group here for that. And you do that by clicking this to create a grid view, and then you filter on creator stage name, creator 1 and creator 2. And then later when you go on your sales, you can look that view up. So when the chatters are submitting their sales, they can only see those two creators so that they don't have any sort of manual error. And then for custom contents, you need to make sure you create a view per creator so that the form for the customs can look up this creator so that the chatter doesn't have 6 or 7 or 10 or 20 creators to look at. They just have that one creator. When they click on this form here, you don't want them to see like all of the different creators that you've got. You just want them to click on the one creator, which is for this creator dashboard, so to minimize that human error. So these views are important, and we'll talk about them more when we go into the sales and also the custom content.